Welcome to Sexy in Your 60s. I'm Deborah Citron. We're in season 2 now, and this season we're going deep on making friends in midlife, the real work of it, the joy of it, and why it matters more than most of us realize.
A few days ago, my 6-year-old granddaughter, who has been staying with us for several weeks this summer, looked up at me and asked, Savda, when will I start making friends? She recently left a place where she had her friends, and she was feeling the ache of starting over somewhere new. And then at family camp, she made one, a little girl named Leah, who she now talks about frequently. When you're small, friendship is easy to picture. It's who you play with at recess, who you have a play date with. But her question, when will I start making friends, is the very same one so many of us are quietly asking ourselves in our 60s. And the honest answer is that it doesn't happen by itself anymore. So, all this season, we've been talking about making friends in midlife, and I want to spend the next 4 short episodes on it up close. They come from one rich conversation I had with Ricki Radosh, a writer, happiness coach, and the host of Claim Your Happiness podcast. Each part takes on a different piece of friendship in this season of life. Whether you even have the friends you think you do, how to reach back to people from your past, how to build a whole new circle from scratch, and who your person really is when life gets hard. Today is part 1, and we start with the most basic question, the one my granddaughter asked in her own way. Do I really have friends? And what did I ever think friendship was supposed to look like? Here's Ricki.
What were you like with friendship early in your life?
Another really great question. So, believe it or not, I grew up saying, I have no friends. I have no friends. I have no friends. I never had any friends. And my mom, she could never understand. You have so many people in your life. Why don't you think you have friends? So, when I was 13, that's the time in the Jewish religion that friends start being bar and bat mitzvah. In my head, I had it. I was never invited to any bar or bat mitzvahs. So if you're not invited to any bar or bat mitzvahs, how could you have friends? So that was always my mantra. I have no friends. I have no friends. I have no friends. What I did have was a lot of parties where I would invite, let's just say, the parents from my children's class to my home. And then I would notice they're going out for coffee. Who am I? Right. So it was very disheartening. I really didn't believe that I had friends. And then I took a course. And in the course, they actually had you do one page for every year of your life. What is it that year represented? And I was very lucky because when I was also 12, not 13, but when I was 12, those books came out where you collected your memories. I can't think of what they're called, but you
There
used
were like a scrapbook kind of
scrapbook.
thing.
It became so super popular, and my mom took it on. So when my mom took it on, anything she took on, I took on. So she's scrapbooking, I'm scrapbooking, and I have in my possession today books from when I was 12 years old, going all the way through to today. I can really retell my entire life, what I did, where I went. So when I got to age 12, I went to my books and I opened it up, and on the first page, bar mitzvah. On the second page, bar mitzvah. On the fifth page, bar mitzvah. And I was like, what? I went to all those bar and bat mitzvahs. And here's the thing that was so funny. I didn't know because I was standing in, friends looked a certain way. Maybe they looked like they looked on TV but what I had in my head and what was happening with these people was not a match. But the moment that I saw, wait a minute, you have friends. You went to bar and bat mitzvahs. I was able to start rethinking. Okay, and this is maybe one of the first times that I actually used my name it, frame it, claim it, right? Because I was able to stop the action for a minute and say to myself, my belief was I had no friends. But the proof is I was going to bar mitzvahs. So what was the disconnect? And so then I started to look and I was like, okay, something about the word friends doesn't match what happened when I went to those bar mitzvahs, right? Can you see that? I had friends. And once I saw that, then I was like, okay, what's missing? What is it that I want it to look like that it doesn't look like? And that's the frame it part, right? So I started to look at, I said I had no friends, but obviously I have friends, right? And I was able to start looking at all the people in my life. And I was like, huh, yeah, I have friends. So why doesn't it feel like they're not my friends? And then I started to take action, which is the third part, the claim it part, right? Oh, because I don't go for lunch. Oh, because I don't talk on the phone. Oh, because we're not making constant plans or going away. So I just took a small action and I called the first person that came into my head and I said, hey, do you want to go for lunch? And they said yes. And I was on my way. So it's really interesting because I think the question asked which came first, right? But no, in my world, I had no friends. And then my real world, that was just the world I was living in. But really, I had friends. And that's what I want people to get. It's that you walk around with one story in your head. And if that's not the story you want to have, change the story.
You walk around with one story in your head, Ricki says, and if it's not the story you want, change it. I've been turning that over since we talked because maybe you think you don't have friends, and the truth is you do. You just haven't been counting them. Or maybe you think you don't have friends, and the honest answer is you'd like more. Both are real, and you can change the story either way, in both ways. You can change it by shifting your perspective and seeing the people already there. Or you can change it by taking one small action, the way Ricki did, and the way my granddaughter did when she found Leah. More from Ricki is in the show notes. And here's your question for the week. What's the story you've been telling yourself about friendships? And is it the one you want to keep?
I'm Deborah Citron. This is Sexy in Your 60s. If today's conversation resonated with you, please consider following the podcast, leaving a review, or sharing it with someone who might need it right now. That's how these conversations continue to grow. I would love to stay connected. Come find me at slantplants.com/contact. And if you're curious about the Sexy in Your 60s coaching experience, get on the wait list at sexyinyour60s.com. Until next time, take care of yourself, stay curious, and stay boldly, beautifully sexy exactly as you are.